To Africa and the world with Channel Africa, the international voice of the South African Broadcasting Corporation. Watch or listen anytime, anywhere at channelafrica.co.za, on the Channel Africa mobile app, and on SABC Plus, or via the DSTV and OpenView audio bouquets. You can also catch us on social media at Channel Africa on Facebook and at Channel Africa 1 on all other platforms. Channel Africa, first with the African story globally. Do get in touch with us. Also, if you want to drop us a WhatsApp or voice note on our topic of the day, you can do just that. The number to dial is +27 83 288 6684. And the question we are asking is, what is the state of women's rugby on the African continent? So do not hesitate to share your thoughts with us. Siya Kuse will get his golden chance, a rematch with WBC kingpin Melvin Jerusalem at Emperor's Palace. The Palace of Dreams will transform into a gladiatorial arena where the legends are forged and history is written in sweat and blood when South Africa's Siya Kuse challenges Melvin Jerusalem for the WBC minimum weight belt. Winning the prestigious WBC green belt in the ring is a feat so rare, so difficult that only two South African titans have ever reached that mountaintop. Sugarboy Malinga, the ultimate underdog who silenced Manchester by outclassing the legendary Nigel Bene in a masterclass for the ages, one of the all-time great SA performances, while Dingane, the Rose of Soweto Tobela, who pulled off a miracle with just 45 seconds left on the clock, sensationally stopping Glenn Cately in a heart-stopping finish, while Kelvin Lorena holds the Bridgerweight strap that was a boardroom promotion. This will be war in the trenches. Is ready to kick down the door of destiny after the absolute toe-to-toe war in the Philippines last year. He gets in a shout at redemption when he meets the reigning king, Melvin Jerusalem, for the WBC championship. Another great all-action fight beacons. The Filipino knows the danger, he knows the power, yet in a display of true championship heart, he is flying into the lion's den to defend his crown against a man who simply will not fold his arms or back down. This isn't just another fight, it is a monumental achievement for the African Boxing Golden Gloves, Africa's biggest boxing promoter, who has moved heaven and earth to bring an unclaimed reigning world champion to our shores. As we now welcome the legendary boxing promoter Rodney Berman to our conversation on Africa at Play. Sir Rod, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Hi, Neto. Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this incredible conversation. Let's go on with it. How did Kuse Jerusalem rematch come about after the original unification plan changed for the champion?
You know, once I'm just going to jump ahead because one of my aims now is we are very, very confident that Siya is going to reverse that decision, and that talked about unification with Kalaza could well be his dream. So when that fight fell through, for whatever reason it was, we saw the gap. Golden Glove saw the gap. And as you rightly have just pointed out, in the history of South African boxing, well, in the history of South African boxing, only one person in a South African ring has challenged for that title, and that was the late great Dingon Tabela, and it was one of the most exciting, enthralling fights ever. With 45 seconds to go, and he stopped Glenn Cately. So we all felt it was a great fight in the Philippines, and it opened our eyes to just how great Siya Kuse is. So, as you mentioned, to move heaven on earth, we didn't want to let this opportunity go, and it might never have come about again. So we went into heavy negotiations. It obviously comes at a very heavy cost to bring a reigning world champion who knows just how good his opponent is to come to this country. But the rewards are worth every penny we are spending. And I don't want to sound melodramatic, but I do believe that this particular fight, it transcends boxing in a sense, It is historical for South Africa. I think not only for South Africa, but the continent of Africa, which we are looking to expand into. It's a great coup for them, so for the whole of Africa. So, just to repeat, we couldn't let this opportunity go. The negotiations were very heavy. To give you an idea, one of the conditions is that all the judges have to be from neutral countries, just to make sure that there is no favoritism whatsoever. So we have to fly in 3 judges from different parts of the world, which is fine. That's how we want it to be as well. The better man must win, and the South African public, it's going to be the world public, the fight will be shown around the world, will see what I believe can probably be one of the best fights ever in a South African ring.
15:06 Central African Time. If you have just joined us, a very warm welcome to Africa at Play. We're talking all things boxing on the African continent with no one other than the legendary boxing promoter Rodney Berman himself, and talking about history beckons as the battle for the famous green belt comes our way, where Siya Kuse will get his golden chance, a rematch with the WBC kingpin Melvin Jerusalem at Emperor's Palace, and it will be happening on the 16th of May 2026. So, Rod, you've expanded the conversation to the African continent. What have you witnessed on the ground? Is boxing growing in Africa?
Yes, what has happened historically, and I don't want to call that golden gloves, as you probably know, there has been a shift in ownership. It's become, if I may say, a powerhouse in African boxing, and we want to stop this deluge of top African fighters finishing up in the UK, in America, all over, because candidly there's nowhere else to go for them financially. There's financial rewards. So we are hoping, well, not even hoping, it's one of our aims, is that for the very reason to make sure that Africa retains its top talent. We can see them here, hopefully, at Emperor's Palace. We can expand into Ghana. There's a lot of opportunities.
That's the voice of Rodney Berman, who is a legendary boxing promoter on Africa at Play, talking all things the sport of boxing on the African continent. And this conversation will continue, but for now we will be taking a short break to honor the hour mark, the radio clock, before we continue with this conversation.
Growing with Africa for 60 years. Channel Africa celebrates 2026 with an African perspective.
Drivers of Scholar Transport vehicles carry a special duty of care. The lives entrusted to you demand professionalism, discipline, and unwavering responsibility. Every Scholar Transport driver must therefore comply with the following requirements. Assist learners during pickup and drop-off, including ensuring safe crossing at pedestrian crossings where applicable. Under no circumstances may a Scholar Transport vehicle be overloaded. Remain sober, medically fit, and free from any disqualifying convictions or impairments at all times. Every journey is a responsibility. Every child's life matters. Issued by the Department of Transport.
Stella Longwe. Pamalonje.
Ndiyetu apa tindikatswiri oyimba wa dziko la Mozambique ameneyu amene ali Rikabana. Ndatiuzeni kuti mayimba chamba chanji komanso dzina lanu lenileni koleka ngati dzina limeneli ndilijatu atapa stage. Dzina lanu kwenikweni ndi ndani komanso mayimba chamba chanji?
Ineyo dzina langa lenileni ndine Ricardo Musa Rabana. Chamba chimene ndimayimba ine ndimanganji ndimakonda kwambiri ma tradition. Zimenezo ndi nyimbo zathu chifukwa kwathu kunoko ndi madansi osiyana-siyana a chimizi. Ndi ineyo poti ndi mnyamata wa chimizi. Ndi ndimakonda so nyimbo za chimizi.
Ndinu a chimizi? Ndi makonda nyimbo za chimizi, mapangaso za chimizi. Zosangalatsa kuti mwanena bwera kuti ndinu a chimizi. Anthu amazibisa, anthu amafuna kukhala ndithu achitauni. Koma chikhalidwe tuchilibe chitauni, alisa ndi chikhalidwe chake, alisa ndi zimene amakonda.
Malonje, pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe.
Live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
15:10 Central African Time. You are still tuned in to Africa at Play, the continent's best sport and music destination. The conversation continues on all things boxing on the African continent with the legend in promotion of boxing. I'm talking about Sir Rodney Berman, talking to us right here on Africa at Play. Sir Berman, the sport of boxing is not just about the two fighters in the boxing ring. There are a whole lot of role players that are playing important roles behind the scenes. It could be the promoter, the trainer, the manager, and many other positions. Let's talk about promotion. As a promoter, what does one really do? Because it is equally important that we educate our listeners.
Well, we start from ground zero. Besides arranging the match, look, it's a whole conglomerate. A tournament in itself entails a matchmaker who puts the fights together. You then have to have a venue. You have a tournament director who directs the seating, the plans. You have your entertainment division. It's a whole. It's how do I put it? It's like any major company, if I could put it in those terms, with various divisions, everybody playing their own part. But so to answer you, you don't just walk in and see two guys walk into the ring. Somebody was in charge of the sound. Somebody was in charge of lighting. Somebody was in charge of entertainment. Someone's in charge of the food. And so it goes on. Publicity. It's when you see an event, it takes 3, 4, 5 months of preparation for that event to happen. So it's a really, you need a lot of experience, and it's a really big job.
Everyone has a journey in a different sporting codes, Sir Rod, and I'm just wondering, what is Rodney Berman's journey with boxing? How did you meet the sport?
Sorry, how did I?
How did you meet the sport of boxing?
You know, I don't know if I'm at the top, and there's very good people in boxing, but I think I have a philosophy. I think that everybody in life, there's a path mapped out for you. Along the way, you can pick up the clues, and it will take you to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Otherwise, you can ignore those clues. So I was very fortunate. Many years ago, I'm an attorney by profession, and I had to sue a legendary boxing promoter. And from that, one thing led to another, and I found myself helping out the person I was suing with one tournament, and I thought I'd help him for a month or two, and that was 47 years ago, and I'm still here.
Wow, amazing indeed. And let's also talk about women's boxing on the African continent. What are your thoughts? Yesterday, I got to attend the Battle for Love boxing tournament that took place in Pretoria, the country's capital city, at the Silver Lake Farms Hotel. And it was just good to see that headlining that event was a women's bout between Smangele Smash Hadebe taking on Sibulele Sobois, a match that was won by Sibulele Sobois on a split decision. But it was just heartwarming to witness the atmosphere and the euphoria that I've witnessed in yesterday's event. Your thoughts on the state of women's boxing in Africa?
You know, again, I'm being candid with you. I was very much against women's boxing, and I know it's very hard for me even to say, but I still find it very hard to find two women in the ring. But having said that, and, you know, obviously you move with the times, I've seen some great boxers. We had the legendary Leila Ali fighting in South Africa. So I have changed my mind totally. There are one or two outstanding women fighters. They give and take as much as any man in the ring. So it's the future. We hear with women's boxing, it's going to stay like women's soccer. And that's great. Women need their place in the sun as well. We have, just on the side, we have in 2 weeks' time a very outstanding young South African fighter, Siya Kuse, who is fighting in Poland for the world title under the Golden Gloves banner, and we have very big future for her. So in answering you, we do have two outstanding young women fighters. I'm not going out of the way to find more because we are inundated with a stable of fighters, but as I say, they'll be given every opportunity with Golden Gloves, and it's inevitable. Women's boxing is, as with men's boxing, the future.
With the awesome work that Golden Gloves Promotions continues to do, not just in South Africa, but across the African continent, what are some of the upcoming events, the calendar for 2026?
Well, there's nothing outside of South Africa yet, but to answer you, I'm already having a discussion with one or two promoters in Ghana. We are looking to do co-promotions there, and so we hope to expand. It's just, as I say, with the new I'm still the CEO, but with the new management coming into Golden Gloves with some brilliant ideas, the future is very, very exciting, and great things are and will be happening.
As a legendary promoter, what is it that you still haven't done under the umbrella of boxing globally that you would still want to tick a box?
I'll tell you what it is, and I repeat it ad nauseum. I've been extremely lucky. I've been able to be part of major promotions in the major arenas around the world. We had one of the things, Oscar De La Hoya and Shane Mosley, and many, many more. But the one thing that has got to me and has frustrated me no end is that coming out of Africa, particularly South Africa, we've had some very good, outstanding white heavyweights. A heavyweight of colour to parade on the world heavyweight scene has always eluded us, and that would be my only mountain that I would still love to climb, to find a black heavyweight South African with the ability to compete at world level. That is something which has eluded us, and I don't know why, but it has.
Exciting indeed. Just as a parting shot from the point that you've just made about a heavyweight of color, how long do you think it will take, understanding that in any sport, these kind of processes, they take time?
Well, you mean a South African in South Africa?
Yes, correct.
You know, it's very odd. As I say, it just eludes me. We are a country brimful of talent in every sport, and just somehow having a great heavyweight of colour has just eluded us, and I don't know why. I don't see anybody on the scene coming up yet, but I hope I can carry on live long enough until I'm able to walk with a South African into the ring for a major heavyweight fight and with a man of colour. So I can only answer you like that.
That's the voice of the legendary boxing promoter from Golden Gloves, and he said something profound, that in life everyone has a purpose, and as you continue to live your life, that purpose will never miss you, and you will meet your purpose, and you will find yourself deep in things, making certain that your purpose is delivered accordingly. Rodney Berman, thank you so much for talking to us on Africa at Play. All the best preparing for the big fight coming up on the 16th of May at Emperor's Palace.
Thank you so much. It will be an event to be remembered for years to come. Thank you so much.
History will be on the drawing board, because history is made up of great battles in the boxing ring and, of course, in different sporting codes, depending on their surfaces of play. 15:20 Central African Time. That's how we wrap up our conversation on all things boxing in Africa with the legendary boxing promoter, Rodney Berman.